There are people who experience days where their body feels as though it is made of lead, dragging through the hours after a simple evening out. It is not ordinary physical tiredness, nor is it a sudden lack of stamina. It is the sudden, system-wide shutdown of a nervous system that has spent hours silently translating the chaotic frequency of the outside world. It is the heavy fog that settles over your brain, making the simple thought of replying to a text message feel like lifting a physical weight, all while a quiet voice in your head whispers that you are somehow failing at being a functional human being. But here is the honest truth. You wake up the morning after a social event, and despite sleeping for 9 hours, your bones ache with a distinct hollow fatigue. You stare at your phone, watching unread messages pile up, paralyzed by the sheer energetic cost of forming words. You cancel weekend plans you actually wanted to attend, consumed by a suffocating guilt as you draft the apology text. You watch extroverted friends and colleagues thrive on the exact same social interactions that leave you feeling hollowed out and depleted. They leave a crowded room energized, their batteries charged by the noise and the overlapping conversations, while you find yourself scanning the room for the nearest exit. You wonder why your social battery seems to have a permanent leak, constantly draining faster than you can ever hope to replenish it. The cost of trying to consistently match the loud, relentless rhythm of an extroverted society is an invisible exhaustion that no one else ever sees. It is a fatigue that lives in your very cells, a quiet burnout that happens right under the surface while you are busy maintaining a polite smile. You spend your days pretending that the noise does not bother you, only to collapse in the safety of your own home when no one is watching. This is where most people get it wrong. Your exhaustion is not a character flaw, nor is it a hidden form of social anxiety or a sign of depression. It is a predictable, biologically sound response, known in psychological circles as an introvert hangover, driven entirely by how your unique brain processes sensory input and neurochemicals. Think of your mind as an ultra-high-definition camera recording the world in massive, uncompressed file sizes, while most people are comfortably shooting on standard definition. Every micro-expression flashing across the table, the layered hum of multiple conversations, the subtle shifts in lighting, and the emotional undertones of a joke. Your brain captures and processes all of this invisible data simultaneously at maximum resolution without you ever consciously asking it to do so. This extraordinary level of perception requires an astronomical amount of neurological processing power. It heavily taxes your frontal lobe and pushes your nervous system dangerously close to a state of complete sensory overload. Extroverts have a high threshold for dopamine, meaning they require loud, bustling environments and constant novelty just to feel a baseline level of stimulation. Your brain, however, is highly sensitive to dopamine, meaning that same loud environment floods your system, overwhelming your neural pathways almost immediately. You run optimally on a different neurochemical called acetylcholine, which is released when you turn inward, when you focus deeply, and when you are surrounded by absolute quiet. And then comes the part that changes everything. When your sensory system hits its threshold, your body initiates a protective physiological shutdown to prevent neurological burnout. The sudden lethargy and brain fog you feel is not laziness or apathy. It is a forced system update, a biological mandate to power down. Your brain is demanding that you clear the massive cache of sensory data you have absorbed before it will allow you to function again. For many observant individuals, this Ultra HD recording system did not just appear out of nowhere by accident. It often developed as an intelligent adaptation early in life, a way to carefully read the room and ensure emotional safety by noticing the tiny details everyone else missed. Your brain learned that gathering maximum information was the best way to protect you, and it became exceptionally good at its job. If this sounds like the explanation you have been quietly searching for all your life, welcome to the Quiet Psychology Club, a place where your quiet nature is finally understood, where your need for absolute stillness is respected, and where your exhausted mind is always safe. If we go one layer deeper, we find the real tragedy of this exhaustion. I remember a late Sunday afternoon, sitting motionless on the edge of my bed after attending a close friend's outdoor wedding. The bedroom was dark, illuminated only by a thin, amber slice of fading sunlight slipping through the closed wooden blinds. My formal clothes were discarded in a careless pile on the floor, and I was still wearing one dress sock, lacking the physical momentum to reach down and pull it off. The silence in my apartment felt thick, almost tactile, pressing against my ringing ears like a weighted blanket. I could hear the faint, low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, a sound that felt aggressively loud against my fragile, overstimulated nervous system. I felt a dull, rhythmic ache pulsing directly behind my eyes, and my chest felt tight, as if I had just run a marathon using only my emotional reserves. I sat there, staring blankly at the bare white wall, ignoring the subtle, vibrating buzz of my phone on the nightstand. A wave of suffocating shame washed over me for needing a full day of isolation just to recover from celebrating someone I genuinely loved. I realized in that quiet, heavy moment that I was trying to run a high-performance engine on the wrong type of fuel, burning myself out to perform a version of myself that simply did not exist. I finally stood up, walked over to the nightstand, turned my phone off, and surrendered to the quiet, letting the heavy guilt slowly dissolve into the dark corners of the room. You spend so much of your beautiful life apologizing for the day after, trying desperately to medicate your social hangovers with caffeine, forced smiles, and fake enthusiasm. You convince yourself that your intense need to retreat is a failure to be a good friend, a supportive partner, or a properly functioning adult. You look at your empty calendar and feel a strange mix of relief and biting self-reproach. But let me be clear about what is actually happening inside of you. It is not a sign of a fragile constitution or a broken social compass. It is a sign of a sensory lens so magnificently powerful that the world simply forgot to build a quiet room for it to cool down. Your exhaustion is the direct, undeniable proof of how deeply and fully you showed up for the people around you, absorbing their joys, their anxieties, and their unspoken emotions. You gave them the highest definition of your attention, and now the bill for that energy has come due. Taking a full day of silence to recover from the world is not a selfish act of isolation. It is an intentional, non-negotiable act of solitude and self-preservation. When you firmly close your door to the outside world, you are not engaging in cold withdrawal or antisocial avoidance. You are practicing the vital, beautiful selection of what you allow into your energetic space. You are actively preserving the very delicate mechanism that makes you so brilliantly perceptive in the first place. It is time to stop feeling guilty for the thorough way your nervous system operates. It is time to start fiercely protecting the quiet, sacred sanctuary it requires to reset, without offering anyone an apology or a lengthy explanation. You are allowed to be temporarily unavailable to the demands of a loud world. You are allowed to let the unread messages wait, to leave the emails unanswered, and to simply exist in the healing quiet of your own space. May your brilliant mind finally find the quiet, undisturbed rest it so deeply deserves.